With the release of the first spin-off for the Fast and Furious franchise, Hobbs and Shaw, it's time to dive in and rank all 9 Fast and Furious films. When it comes to this franchise, I'm actually kind of a big fan of it. I've definitely come to appreciate it more with the later installments, and that's something that's fantastic and fascinating about this franchise, is that it seems like they got better after 5, which is truly insane. But this is going to be a fun list to talk about, kind of re-rank and rank through all of them from worst to best. And of course, if you guys are new here, hit that like and subscribe button if you guys enjoy these kind of ranking lists, or in general just love early movie reviews, because I provide that on a daily basis. And plus, you guys can head over to Sandwich on Films, how to see films early. But the most important part about this is I definitely want to hear what your guys' thoughts are and what is your ranking of the whole Fast and Furious franchise. So make sure to comment down below and let me know that. But without further ado, let's get started. Coming down at number 9 is going to be Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Now, when it comes down to this movie, I don't necessarily dislike this movie. I think this movie's just okay. There are certain segments in here that are breathtaking. When it comes down to all the racing aspects of the film, they're breathtaking. They're great. There's actually a lot of fun elements to those, but it's everything that's kind of intersected in between that really lulls, and it just truly, when it comes down to the bottom 3 of my ranking, it really comes down to, it just felt like they didn't know what they were doing with this franchise yet. They had this successful first one. Now they're like, okay, so the second one's going to have this, and this character reprising, but we're not going to have Vin Diesel. Then the third one's going to come in, okay, we're going to have maybe a cameo here and there from certain other characters, but really this is going to be kind of a new start. We're going to kind of reboot the whole Fast and Furious franchise, and it never just hit that stride of what they were going for, and you can kind of feel that weird in between of what they were trying to do. Coming in at my number 8 is going to be Too Fast, Too Furious, or Fast and Furious 2. Fast and Furious 2, or Too Fast, Too Furious again, is another kind of just hits from that same point, is that we don't know what we're doing with this franchise yet. The first one was successful. We gotta make a sequel. We gotta bank on that money. And when it comes down to this one, even though Paul Walker is great as Brian, and I love seeing him in here, brings such charisma to these roles, and really just in general, he brings a different light to every single one of the films that he ever has appeared of, and it's this film that really, he is the brightest star of this film. Plus, we get introduced to Roman Reigns and Ludacris's character, and they're really entertaining as well, and kind of seeing where they had started in here. There are a lot of fun elements to Too Fast and Furious. Again, it comes down to the car parts are fun, the kind of crime element that they're kind of really intersecting into this one, about this kind of retired, in a sense, cop for this whole world. Second installment, again, finds that rough place of not knowing where it's kind of go, and without having Vin Diesel and really having the other amount of crew, it's like, okay, let's spin it off to the other actual main character of the franchise. My number 7 is Fast and Furious, or Fast and Furious 4. Now, this is the one that actually kind of started the direction that they were going in. They're like, okay, we know what we want. People like cars, people like action, let's interspice that in. People did like the crime elements, let's add that in there as well. But then they started intersecting it, and for me, 4 is the most boring out of all of them, and it almost made the bottom of this list. But the reason I didn't place it there is because as I was rewatching this one, I did find myself kind of enjoying it a little bit more, kind of understanding, and kind of excited, because I was like, okay, I know where like certain elements and certain subplots and certain elements are gonna kind of head down the road in the future. But when it comes to Fast and Furious 4 or Fast and Furious, I just truly think it is the weakest installment when it comes to this later ones. It knew the direction it was gonna go in. It's great seeing all the characters back, and there are a lot of fun moments to this film, and in general that, but it's seriously the story that just lulls. I truly cannot tell you anything about the story and what had happened. I just rewatched it a couple days ago. That brings me to my number 6, and surprisingly enough, number 6 is Fast and Furious 6. This is one of the movies that, after 5, they went bigger, maybe better at some points, but they definitely went bigger with all the action stunts in here. They brought back Letty Michelle Rodriguez, which I was actually really excited to see that they brought her back in here. They add Luke Evans as the villain, and Luke Evans is one of the most underrated actors when it comes to Hollywood. I love this guy when he pops into roles, and he is so great in this. But there's a lot of family elements in here, and that's really kind of what makes Fast and Furious, and I actually have like a video essay that I think I'm going to actually debut when the next Fast and Furious comes out, which is going to be about what makes a Fast and Furious film, and that's what 6 really doubled down, and all these double on, is that the family element, and you hear Vin Diesel go,
"It's family."
Really, the biggest issue for this one for me lies in the pacing. There are multiple moments in here where I just fall asleep. I truly just kind of like doze off. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm kind of getting over this now. A lot of that happens kind of towards the middle, and this is a movie that I think could have used a little bit of cutting and chopping up to kind of get it under that 2-hour runtime. First act's great, middle kind of slows down, and then once you get to the third act, it really just picks the hell up. To get any further into this ranking, guys, make sure to slap that like and subscribe button if you guys are enjoying this. Make sure to comment down below and let me know what your guys' thoughts are. What is your ranking? That's going to be the most important part. And let me know who your favorite Fast and Furious character is as well. Coming in on my number 5 is going to be the brand new installment into the Fast and Furious franchise, Hobbs and Shaw. Now, for our first spinoff, I really enjoyed it, and I'm actually really looking forward to what they do next with these characters, because they do set up certain elements in there. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but there are certain cameos in here that, while a little bit abrupt and kind of felt Saturday Night Live-ish at times for how long they lasted, there were fun elements to them, and I'm actually looking forward to whatever they do next within the Hobbs and Shaw. And do make sure to look forward for this. If you are fans of after credit scenes, Hobbs and Shaw definitely has some of those. But Hobbs and Shaw, the reason this film truly works is, even though it is way too long, and even though sometimes it's a little bit too cheesy and cartoony, it's because of Dwayne Johnson's, Jason Statham's banter and chemistry with one another that is excellent. And really the character arc of both characters throughout the story, while we've seen it all the times before, it's finally great seeing these characters kind of progress themselves within this element and kind of inside the whole Fast and Furious franchise. You know, I didn't really expect that, and to kind of really fall for Jason Statham's character and kind of understand where he is coming from, there's a lot more to his character than you would expect. Mixing Kirby and Elba into the whole entire Fast and Furious franchise and just intersect them in the Hobbs and Shaw, they make one for a great antagonist and one for a great sidekick. Action's great, while some of the visual effects could have been touched up a bit. Hobbs and Shaw definitely is a win, and I'm excited to see what they do next. Of course, coming in at my number 4 is going to be the start of this whole franchise. That is the Fast and the Furious. I actually really enjoy this movie, and I think this is one of those movies that really were so small and subtle. And while this film, like where they are now in this franchise from compared to where they were in this first one, it is completely changed. But the one element that hasn't is the main characters and that aspect of family that I was talking about earlier. I know I'm going to mention that a lot, but again, Vin Diesel always says
it's family.
It's one of the parts that is truly a big cultural part of the whole entire movie. But it's not just that, but it's also just in general the kind of vibe, the street racing that they kind of went to, the illegal street racing, I might say. And it's these characters that you truly just start to fall for and fall in love with, especially knowing what's down the road for them. This is a movie that has truly stuck with me. I kind of really enjoy it. I actually really like revisiting it a lot. Coming in at my number 3 is going to be The Fate of the Furious, or Fast and Furious 8. Now, The Fate of the Furious, for a while, was actually my number 1 until I went back through my rewatches. And the thing about The Fate of the Furious is, it is insane. It is insane, and it does lose the aspect of Paul Walker. I truly think they should have ended the story at 7 and kind of just spun it off to different characters, having maybe Vin Diesel pop up in here, maybe having Mia pop up in here, just having certain characters pop up in other types of spin-offs, because I thought that was the perfect closure for this family. Obviously, that didn't happen. I think we're getting 8 and... We got 8, now we're getting 9 and 10, I think, next. But The Fate of the Furious really showed me that there's still a lot of energy in here. And I'm proud to say that I think Paul Walker would look down and be very happy with this franchise, seeing that, hey, I built this from the ground up. This is the one franchise that I built up, and I'm glad that they're still making more. Although Charlize Theron is a great villain and added into this whole mix of the Fast and Furious, I overall just truly enjoy The Fate of the Furious, truly because of all of its action sequences and all the fun little twists and turns that it has with Vin Diesel's characters, because we're trying to figure out, why is he turning on them? Is it some cybernetic, energetic thing that they're now adding into this? Because truly, this is the one that goes balls to the wall. We're going insane. Even though we've jumped through buildings, destroyed a tank, threw cars out of a helicopter, this is kind of the one where I went, it's a little bit too much. It's still not that big of an issue. I still have fun with it. You turn off your brain, you have fun, you enjoy the story, but it's really the way that they intersected Jason Statham and The Rock more as protagonist characters and truly kind of spun them perfectly into the Hobbs and Shaw spinoff. It looks as Jason Statham. There's a lot of banter, that fun banter is with him, but it's the thing with this character that I really like is he has an action sequence trying to save the child, and that is one of my favorite moments in all the Fast and Furious, and that's truly why it's at my number 3. And coming in on my number 2 is going to be Furious 7, or Fast and Furious 7. I love this movie. It's probably the most emotional out of all of them for mostly very obvious reasons, because this was Paul Walker's last one, and I think what James Wan had done within this film was just very special. I think he knew what he was doing. He had a lot on his plate. The way that he overall really furthered out and ended Brian's story inside this film is just a touching ending. It is one of the most beautiful endings, in fact, for a Fast and Furious film, and in general, one of these big action set piece films. It's very emotional, it's beautiful in that right, and it is truly very entertaining. Jason Statham as a villain is excellent. His intro into this was fantastic, and it's truly, again, just adds to that whole family part, and you just truly feel all the passion that came out of this. Again, I truly think this is where they should have ended it. I think it was the perfect conclusion to a lot of these characters, and that ending with Brian just gets me every single time.
Hey, thought you could leave without saying goodbye.
It comes out to my number 1, and my number 1 is Fast 5. I remember the first time I saw this film, people were like, Zach, let's go see the new Fast and Furious film. And I'm like, oh God, they're making another one. Even though The Rock was in it, I'm like, I'm kind of done with this franchise. 1 was good, but 2, 3, and 4, don't count me in. Somehow I got dragged into seeing this film opening night. We went opening night to see the movie. They paid for me because I refused to pay and see this film. And I remember walking out being, holy crap, that was a ton of fun. Holy crap, that was a ton of fun. I cannot wait for number 6, which actually ended up making number 6 one of my most anticipated films of the year that it came out. But Fast 5 was surprising me. I think it actually really reinvigorated this whole franchise. And again, that's why I appreciate 4, because it kind of set it into this way and set it into the way that it was supposed to go nowadays. A lot of people have complaints that I wish it was more about the cars. I wish it was more about the cars. The thing that I like about 5, though, is it's not about the cars. It's truly about these characters and these action set pieces and robbing and the crime elements and really doubling down on all that. Everything that happened in this movie is top tier action film, and it's one of my favorite action films to date. I love Fast 5, and of course adding The Rock in there just truly reinvigorated a lot of different things in there. Vin Diesel's great, Paul Walker's great, and in general it just set up a whole new world. And I kind of hope they go back down to that scale of level one day, because it's a little bit gritty, a little bit actiony, but also not too sci-fi like the newest ones. But still, I can't complain too much. Fast 5 is definitely still my favorite. Guys, that's gonna be my Fast and Furious ranking. Thank you guys so much for watching this. You guys are seriously all the best. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, check out Sandwich on Films, and comment down below and let me know what your guys' ranking would be. I can't wait to discuss with you guys down there. So guys, until next time, stay family, stay furious, stay fast.